I'm a Florida reporter who covers Scientology. I just revealed a series of mysterious land deals that give the church control of a mid-sized city's downtown. AMA. Hello Reddit, I'm Tracey McManus. For the last 4 years, I've reported on the Church of Scientology for the Tampa Bay Times. For the last 6 months, I've been investigating a spate of real estate purchases in downtown Clearwater, Florida. The Church of Scientology and companies run by its members have spent $103 million since 2017 buying about 100 properties. They now own most commercial property on every block within walking distance of the waterfront. We built a graphic demonstrating just how little is left. Downtown Clearwater is next to a beautiful waterfront just over the bridge from Clearwater Beach, a national tourist destination. Yet downtown is dotted with empty storefronts. The purchases took off as the city was developing a $64 million plan to turn the area around. We don't know whether these purchases will help the city's goal. The church's tumultuous history in the city starts in 1975, when Scientology bought a downtown hotel with a straw corporation, secretly moved in and wrote plans to take control. I recap the whole history here. In April 2017, the city snubbed Scientology leader David Miscavige. Miscavige cut off all communication. Then LLCs controlled by church parishioners began buying up property at an unprecedented rate. In just 3 years, the downtown footprint of property tied to the church doubled. The church has declined to speak with me and criticized my newspaper for portraying its members as mindless robots. But defectors from the church and city leaders believe there is little chance parishioners are making all these deals without the church's involvement. For more, read the investigation here. We also published a story on what city council members think. Times data reporter and graphics whiz elimurray is also around to answer questions about how he made the graphics. Check out another amazing project here. You may remember him from his popular AMA on zombie campaigns last year. PROOFEDIT, y'all. Our server hosting the main investigation is down, so you can't read the story right now. We're trying to fix it ASAP. We're bummed. In the meantime, I'll still be here, answering your questions. Please check back later to read the story. EDIT2. We've stabilized the server and the story should be back up and running. Hopefully you can check it out now if you were having trouble earlier. Thanks, EDIT3. Okay all, I'm headed out. But I will try to hop on later to answer a few more questions. Thank you so very much for your interest in our investigation and for all the comments expressing support for local journalism. We will keep on it. Edit 4. I'm back. For a little while until I get too sleepy, jumping back into questions now. Ask us anything. Edit 5. That's it for tonight. Thank you all again for your interest in our reporting.
Has there ever been any violent encounters with the church as you were exposing more info?
Nope, I have never experienced violence. But the church did publish an issue of its Freedom magazine one day after our story ran. It included an article criticizing my reporting from 2017 about David Miscavige's downtown revitalization plan. It was full of false statements and characterizations. Interestingly, it did not acknowledge the recent purchases.
Are you proud of yourselves? Because you should be. These types of things are pretty much only discovered by dedicated local reporters like yourself. You may not hear enough, or at all, but your work is not only appreciated but an integral part to our functioning society. Thank you.
I cannot tell you how much we appreciate this comment. Local newspapers are struggling all across America. Many have shut down. Hundreds of communities have no local watchdog holding people accountable, exposing corruption and celebrating the stories of the people who live in their communities. Society needs journalism, local journalism most of all. We are trying our best to continue the legacy of local journalism in this new era of smaller staffs, fewer resources and tons of people who try to label journalists as enemies for the simple fact we expose truth.
Do you know anything about the Hole? It is supposedly Scientology's version of a camp for those who wanted to leave, or have done something wrong. Members who have been to the Hole described it as torture. It would be interesting to see your take on it.
Yes, our newspaper has written extensively about this. See the links at the bottom of Sunday's investigation. It links to the Tampa Bay Times 2009 Truth Rundown series. It is must-read journalism.
Read the piece, it was fantastic. Other than donations, real estate holdings, how does the church maintain such a massive reserve of cash? Seems like if there are only approximately 30,000 members or so, it would be hard to keep up that kind of pace. And thanks again, really enjoyed it.
Thanks so much for reading. Scientology's cash stockpile is from the money it charges for courses, auditing and services, and large donations. Many members are very wealthy. Scientology pressures its members to make donations for Scientology expansion. There are members who donate many millions. I have many more questions about Scientology's finances though and other sources of income.
Are you safe? Serious question.
I'm definitely being cautious, thanks for the concern.
Could there be ordinances proposed that required buildings to be in use? My understanding is that this ownership pattern makes downtown a veritable ghost town. How do you get enough citizens to fight back? Even with the fair game policy, it would seem that if enough people were willing to stand up for the town they live in, the pushback would make a difference. Do you find that there isn't enough interest in locals to take action?
There's been 2 reactions from locals to this story, 1 fight like hell to preserve downtown for everyone in the community, 2 give up and throw in the towel. The city owns 22 acres of spectacular waterfront property. They are right now planning to develop it into a $64 million park for the community to enjoy. But whether or not these new landlords who control the retail district around the waterfront will respond by bringing in businesses is the question. The city right now does not have penalties for landlords with long vacant storefronts. I have heard several people push for this though.
Do you think that this attempt by Scientology to buy Clearwater is an attempt to normalize themselves to tourists and the local populace in an attempt to recruit more members and provide a base of operations for future church plans? And Scientology has received a bad rap, deservedly so, over the past few years, and honestly, as someone who hasn't looked into them very deeply, I've never really thought of Scientology as having any sort of home base. They felt more like a loose conglomerate that operate more or less everywhere. By centralizing themselves somewhere that gives them a lot more power to operate more efficiently in whatever future plans they're looking to enact on. And also, is there anything that can be done to oust them out of Clearwater at this point? Many Floridians knew that Scientologists were gathering in Clearwater over the past few years, but besides being disapproving of it, couldn't really do anything about it other than just avoid the place.
One of Scientology's biggest weaknesses is its public relations. It refuses to communicate with the media and local government. It refuses to be transparent about its goals and intentions. So I'm not sure if this is an attempt to normalize. Its behavior has raised way more questions and only deepened the mistrust in the community. And Scientology has a right to be in Clearwater just like any other religious organization. However, its behavior is what draws so much criticism and scrutiny. There is one agency with the power to respond, the IRS, which has the power to determine whether or not Scientology's behavior deserves tax-exempt status.
Are these properties now not going to be taxed anymore?
Thanks for asking, it's an important distinction. Scientology owns 60 properties in Pinellas County under its name. 72% of them are tax-exempt for religious purposes. The approximately 100 properties that we reported were bought by LLCs *controlled by members of Scientology are on the tax rolls, not tax-exempt. But if the owners don't do anything with the properties, just let them sit vacant as many of them are now, there is no economic benefit to the community.
Do you get bullied or followed by the squirrel busters for reporting about the church?
Given Scientology's long, documented history of attacking journalists, I assume I am being watched. Anybody who covers Scientology should.
Tampa Bay area resident here.
How active is the church right now compared to their tax exemption status in the 90s?
I always assumed they were in decline as more people became aware of their activities, but I didn't think they'd be able to buy up so much property.
Yeah, that's an interesting aspect of Scientology. Although Scientology says it has millions of members, educated estimates put the number at no more than 30,000. Its real influence comes from the roughly $3 billion in cash and assets it has accumulated through its members. So it has power through its real estate and cash.
In your opinion, what do you think the endgame is here? Near total control of downtown Clearwater?
I'm a fan of history and facts. From the history of the church's behavior and actions in Clearwater, the evidence tells us they want control. The question is whether they will use that power, control to squat on downtown real estate and prevent new restaurants, bars and fun things into downtown, or if they will redevelop downtown into a vibrant district, just into something they have control over.
In all your reporting and research, what has been the most fascinating and/or disturbing aspect of the church you've uncovered? Follow-up question: what is something that the general public doesn't know about the church, that we really should? Finally, how could someone help a friend or family member escape? Thank you for your work in this AMA.
I'd say the most concerning and least understood aspect is Scientology's treatment of children. Scientology teaches there are no children, just adults in child bodies. So children receive the same auditing, spiritual counseling, as adults. These auditing sessions are more like interrogations about secrets you are keeping that you have to confess in order to progress up the spiritual bridge. These auditing sessions often delve into sexual transgressions. So kids are asked about masturbation, fantasies, sex experiences. If they are victims of abuse, that is discussed too. But abusers are never reported to law enforcement because it is a high crime in Scientology to report a Scientologist to police. So abuser is not reported and victim is not given help. More on this to come in our reporting. Edit. Also, former members have created the Aftermath Foundation to help people trying to leave Scientology and get on their feet and acclimate to life after Scientology.
What's the worst thing you've come across that Scientology has perpetrated, and how does it compare to what other religions, spiritual institutions have done?
By far the most shocking attack was on Paulette Cooper, a journalist who wrote an exposé on Scientology in 1971 called The Scandal of Scientology. The church tried to destroy her. They lifted her fingerprint from an envelope that a Scientology spy who befriended her took from her apartment. They put the fingerprint on a bomb threat and mailed it to themselves. She was actually indicted for this crime. Tony Ortega, a longtime Scientology writer, wrote a fantastic book about Cooper's ordeal and her work. It's called The Unbreakable Miss Lovely. It's absolutely unbelievable.
How did the idea for the story come about? Did a local official complain about it? Did a reporter one day wonder why the downtown area seemed especially dead?
This is an extension of my beat reporting. I have been covering Scientology and Clearwater since 2015. I first reported on Scientology's leader David Miscavige buying property downtown for a retail plan in 2017. Long story short, the city snubbed his plan and he went radio silent. But I continued to track downtown purchases by LLCs. I found so many, I asked my editors to give me time to dig in. Then I found way more than I even expected.
Are you worried about physical retaliation if you come across something you're really not meant to find during your reports?
Well, I have spent a long time studying Scientology and its tactics. I know what other journalists experienced, so I'm aware of the possibilities. But this is an important story, and we are keep going no matter what.
Hi Tracey and team. This is some absolutely great reporting. While the city is the biggest player in the downtown area impacted by this, and I've seen your follow-up reaction piece from the council members, have you heard anything from the county and the other non-Scientologist landowners in the downtown area? What kind of reaction have you seen from the players that haven't already sold but might be tempted to do so if this derails the goals of the imagined Clearwater plan?
Thanks so much for the kind words. We will be following up in the next few weeks about more reactions from county officials, business owners, property owners and business community leaders. From my experience on this beat, people are very reluctant to talk about Scientology on the record. They are afraid of the repercussions. Few are willing to say publicly how they really feel because of Scientology's documented history of attacking critics. I think this story, which lays out indisputable evidence that Scientology coordinated a downtown takeover, has made people more willing to speak, though.
Has the church started to look elsewhere in FL or along the FL coast, or are they hellbent on Clearwater?
The church does have holdings in other areas of Florida including Tampa and St. Petersburg. Nothing, from what I've found so far, compares to its international spiritual headquarters in Clearwater though.
What specific concerns do locals have regarding this set of property purchases?
Locals mainly want to know, what is the plan? What are they going to do with all this property? The church won't say. Parishioners won't say. But this was clearly a coordinated land assemblage. There has to be a plan. Are they going to squat on the properties to keep the public away? Are they going to bring businesses in? Develop the properties into cool shit for the public? We will work really hard to continue reporting on this and shine more light.
Great story and great reporting, Tracey. Did you personally have to review all those deeds?
Thank you so much, and yes, I read literally hundreds of deeds. It took a lot of coffee to do this work.
I had to reword this because I initially wanted to give you a compliment, but apparently all top-level comments have to be questions. So, ***, how does it feel to be a member of an organization like the Tampa Bay Times, who have absolutely killed it this year with breaking news and in-depth reporting? ***.
Dang, I'm just grateful to be a journalist working at a daily newspaper in America in 2019. There are so many talented and passionate journalists that have been forced to leave the industry as newspapers shrink across the country. It's been really painful. Journalists don't do this for the money. We do it because we actually give a shit about the truth and having an informed society. The losers of the decline of local newspapers are the residents. I really hope that we will see a rebirth of local news. We all understand now what it's like to not have daily newspapers, your politicians aren't held accountable, your tax dollars aren't being watched, you are not being told stories about the people who live and work around you. This can't go on forever. So we all need to support a rebirth of local journalism. It won't be easy, but we don't have any other option. Now I'm all emotional. Thanks for watching, listening. Don't forget to subscribe.